Okay, so I'm going to read the poem that that story, well, not that that story comes from, but that comes from the story. Um, it's called The Ever Chamber, and it's kind of interesting, actually. I think I did call the book The Ever Chamber for a little while. The title's, Ghost Gear. What?
If a message thing shows up here, does that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. My dad's learning to record. So anyway, the title of the book is Ghost Gear. You've heard that story. You've seen me read that if you've looked at that. It's kind of interesting because I waffled back and forth on this being the title poem, and ultimately went with Ghost Gear. Okay, page 15. Okay, this is the Ever Chamber. Here, the earth with its own compositions, the weep weep weeps of the American avocet, mirror waters flushed by red-eared turtles, wind humming the black willow woodwinds, trumpet creepers' siren song. Here in the realm of the swamp where light is anything but still, and my father's mother warned him never enter. Each whisper of his machete promises the city of conquistadors paved with gold cobblestones, rivers of liquid ivory, Ponce de Leon, and his crew aged not a day. Here, Shreveport, Louisiana, 1958, where instead of glory he finds the cottonmouth hung like tinsel with the violet blooms of sharp-winged monkey flower, warming its blood by those few rays of sun that finger through the willows, my father approaching with grand sweeps of his blade. Imagine that moment for the serpent, he says, its sudden wakened eye black as a poppy seed, then that banded machinery of scales, the clap of its jaw unhinged to action. Gravity holds little dominion over the dedicated body. And it's almost comical, the way my father mimes the way the snake struck, reaching slow motion with his left arm, two fingers transformed into fangs, his eyes and mouth growing into large O's as he twists away from the strike. Right hand, I'm using the wrong hands, but it's okay. Right hand swinging down just in time through the air. That here in our living room, another Christmas Eve, another birthday, is nothing more than air. But in that swamp became a flickering. The reels of his future spinning before him like wartime clips of men dropped toward France, their parachutes iridescent jellyfish in the night. There, in the swamp, he saw Vietnam as though from the pages of an atlas. Serpentine coastline of the South China Sea, a row of bodies lined up along a dirt road, draft card, a declaration of flame in his grasp, disappointment inscribed across his father's face. There, between my father and the snake, a dreamy image of the day my sister would bolt out the back door and he'd search the neighborhood for hours, fearful he's lost her. 2 years later to the AM of my birth, body purple with meconium and blood, the screams of this child for once welcome, skull warped with labor, gauzy as a milkweed's seed pod. The swamp, he says, will show you things. Then the machete and cottonmouth met, and the snake split in half, the blood of it splayed in meticulous streams of black, the flat medallion of the wound like a plastic model of the cell, a nucleus of bone surrounded by nerves, tissue, and chaos. Here he stands, still, shocked he cannot reverse what he's done. Stop, his mind had order. But here the mind holds little over fate. Here, had he stepped miles back with his left foot rather than his right as he entered the sway of black willows, he'd be the one clutching at his struck face, virus tunneling the chambers of his mind, swamp waters rising, and it would be the cottonmouth seeking another tree trunk settled in the waters, certain in the ever chambers of its mind of what it's done, certain as the gold-domed cells of black willows, as the cucks of herring gulls, my father thinking of his mother, who'd only taught him the little she knew, As he turns to hack that snake into its smallest parts, the ink of it spreading across the water's surface. Retreating, he matches each footstep that brought him here, and when he emerges from this waving, unbalanced world, the hard-packed earth of the non-swamp holds everything higher, so that when he looks toward the sun, the barn swallows dip lower, spread their wings to catch some air, then rise again, bobbing like buoys along the invisible thread of their passage through the sky.